It's good afternoon for everybody, right? Or is someone in a
Yeah.
wildly different time zone here?
No. Good afternoon, Philip. Hey, Jacob.
Shane, Jakub, it's my absolute pleasure to have you here. We have, I believe, quite a bit of time to discuss from concept to consumer, circularity embedded in retail operations. And it's a very interesting panel due to the nature of the companies that you come from today. Because whilst Shane Stuart is the director of product design at OLX, and everybody knows OLX as a major player in the circular economy because they are the catalyst of typical human behavior, simply wanting to keep things going, whilst IKEA is a manufacturer who has to look towards the aspect of circularity in their business. So I think that lends us a very interesting surface for a conversation that will allow us to look at multidimensionally. But I speak too much. It is your turn to introduce yourself. So Jakub, if we could start with you telling us about your position, what is the set of competences that come with your position, and ideally, why do you work where you work right now?
Surely. Hello all, once again. I'm leading the digital portfolio and deployment team. So we are taking up the whole digital landscape of the digital solutions in Poland, at IKEA Poland. Me and my team covering actually all the digital solutions that are both customer or coworker facing. Regarding so probably this is this is the disruption forum that is like deeply rooted with my area of focus and interests as well. And going back to the second part of your question, I would say that IKEA really aligns, the values of IKEA really aligns with my personal values, especially the ones committed to sustainability, as well as and using this and communicating it and offering to the customers like those easy to digest actions and products. Yeah, as you said, we are as a manufacturer and retailer.
Thank you, Jakub. And Shane, over to you.
Yeah. First of all, nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Philip. So yeah, as Philip noted, I'm the director of design for OLX, and my team is responsible for the product design of all of Europe. So I know everyone's familiar with OLX in Poland as it exists today, but we have OLX in Portugal, we have OLX in Ukraine, we have OLXs across Europe and even beyond Europe. So it's really important to have a cohesive experience in design so that we're solving customer problems at scale. So I lead a team of probably in and around 36 designers and managers and really work closely with the product and tech leadership to really enable the right priorities and right strategies to help deliver on that. Why I work at OLX, I think that's a great question. What motivates me at any company or any organization I work for is purely the mission. And similar to Jakub, it aligns to my values as what impact as a leader can I help, enable others to achieve. And I think OLX, given we build a more sustainable world through trade, heavily aligns to that. So it's all about the impact that as an organization I can help contribute to.
So I won't say that this was an exam, but both of you passed because you both gave me value-based answers. So I think that's a very good foundation for the rest of our conversation. So I also overstepped by speaking on behalf of both of you about your companies, about which I'm sure you know way more than I do. So if both of you could also speak to my introduction regarding the companies that you work at and their relationship to circularity. So Shane, since we already have you on the microphone, could you confirm, expand, conflict what I said about OLX's sort of role in the world in the terms of
Yeah,
circularity?
absolutely. I'll definitely expand on that. So if you look at OLX, we heavily contribute to the circular economy. Like if you look at, and before OLX, I worked at eBay Classifieds for 4 years as well. So I've been in the industry for quite amount of my career, 4 at eBay, now 2 at OLX. And I think it's really it's astounding how much waste we contribute to the world. Like I think I read doing some research about today is like 91% of what we what we take from the earth is waste. Now, that is a very, very, very challenging problem at scale to solve, right? So what can we do about it? Like OLX contributes to that because we can choose secondhand, right? There's always a choice. Do we need a product, a TV, a phone, kids' clothing? Do we buy new or can we buy secondhand? And I think this is the value of OLX. We help our customers, we enable them to buy and sell secondhand goods, right? So instead of this more linear sort of process of we buy, we throw it out, it's contributing right into the circular economy where we could reuse. And at the end of the day, it's providing a tremendous amount of impact. Take a phone, right? One smartphone, we have like an impact report that OLX produces every year. It kind of goes into more of the details of actually what is the scale and what is the impact that actually buying secondhand has on the economy. And take, like, for example, a simple smartphone, right? If you resell that, it saves a tremendous amount of carbon footprint, right? CO2 emissions on our environment, right? From the manufacturing side, the materials side, I think it's 36 kilograms per phone. So if you look at it scale, so what I love about OLX is the scale. So over the course of 2022, right? So 1 year, we contributed 26 million products that we kind of reused and sort of folded back into the economy. And that's phones, TVs, cars, a lot of electronics, which is very, very hard on the economy. So it's great that OLX plays a significant role in this and has a tremendous amount of impact on the circular economy. So yeah, and it's really about how do we enable others to do this more and more and more each day and changing behaviors. Does that answer your question, Filip? Hope that
does so, and even more so, and that is a true expansion if I ever saw one. Jakub, your turn.
Yeah. So I would start probably with 2 points and setting some fundamentals for them. You have to know that sustainability and circularity is deeply rooted within IKEA fundamentals. And as Shane was talking about the waste, I would like to circle back and highlight another value, and based on our research, because we know that over 70% of people believe that our environment and the planet Earth is on the edge of catastrophe, and the actions must be taken now, not like in the future in a couple of years, like right now, because we are too late already. And this is why IKEA has actually 2 areas that I would like to highlight the most right now. This is the first one is our strategy, and this is our global strategy, the People and Planet Positive, that really is like based on 3 pillars. The first one is the sustainability living for our customers. The second one is the positive impact, the positive climate impact based on our operations, as well as not forgetting about the fair treatment and involving and securing the local communities. By the way, local communities, this is one of the trends that probably could be somehow like in comparison to the global village that we are living now. Let's keep an eye on it. And the second one, as it was mentioned before, yes, we are a retailer, so we are selling products and we are designing them as well. And we have something, our approach that is known as a democratic design, which as well have a couple of pillars. And those pillars are the quality, the function, the form, low price, and sustainability. And with those like approaches in mind, we are taking a couple of concrete actions, but I think it will be enough as an introduction then about IKEA and about our approach. And but maybe I will add something more, because that was a bit of a surprise, but a positive surprise for me, yesterday there was an announcement and a summary of all the Inca investments done and planned in terms of as well the circularity and sustainability. And based on that, until the 2030, which is as well, the 2030 is a goal. The year of 2030 is as well a goal for IKEA to be completely what is it called? Sufficient in terms of used and produced energy. Because yes, a couple of our companies, like we are owning the green energy, the wind farms, and we are investing in solar panels and so on and so forth. Going back to the investments I was referring to, there is another additional 1 billion euro investments in energy transformation, as well as 6.5 billion to invested into renewable energy until the 2030.
So you mentioned something super important, but I'm getting an echo from someone. Jakub, can you mute yourself for a second, and let's see if that's you. Yeah, perhaps it'll go away in a second. But what you mentioned a second ago is something that gives me a very nice transition into speaking broadly outside of the constraints of the companies where you work at, but much rather in the industry that we inhabit, all of us in some sense. And you mentioned this ownership of almost the entirety of the supply chain. And I think it was Bill Gates back in 2020 during the pandemic when everybody was starting to do podcasts because everyone was sitting at home. And one of his podcasts was absolutely a mention of that beware of companies that tell you that they are green, sustainable, or whatever the word that they choose to label themselves with to give a specific impression, if they cannot tell you about the energy that is supplying their factories that could be green. If that energy isn't green itself, then, this is just layer number one. So it's very interesting to hear that 3 years later, it's something that Bill Gates, at least he couldn't criticize IKEA, at least. So, we're moving that way. And just recently, before this panel, when I was preparing for it, I found that one of my friends, who actually is in the audience from one of the big four consultancies, gave me a reality check about the circular economy and the state of it. And he actually mentioned IKEA as one of the absolute leaders, at the same time outlining that this is a problem that is sort of a catch-22 for various reasons. Not only the fact that, of course, each company would rather sell another product instead of trying to get the product to be reused on a sort of just bottom line basis. And at the same time, even before that, we have the issue of the environment, right? At which point are we able to have enough resources to keep producing before we sort of have to employ circular economy just so the chart doesn't fall apart? So what I wanted to invite all three of us is to have a moment of a discussion and think about what can we do as sort of a collective of digital decision makers, because I'm not only thinking about the impact that Netguru has when working on its clients, I'm also thinking just within your personal positions. Both of you manage teams, and the way that you speak to those teams, the way that you lead those teams, these are things that, are railways, guidelines for them to act in a specific way. So what can we do in our respective positions to set the foundation for the circular economy, even more so? And of course, Shane, I know that you have a very easy answer to this, seeing that OLX is just helping out with the circular economy overall. But seeing that you've been at eBay in a similar position that you've been right now, from you, I'm looking more for advice for other leaders in your positions. So, and we are in the middle of our panel. We have 15 minutes left. So, gentlemen, discuss.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll certainly chime in. I think, I'm a designer, right? My DNA is design, a problem solver at best, right? And I think we really need to approach this as a design problem, right? We need to be designers, to put our designer hats and understand the problem we're trying to solve. And also look at other cultures who have done this right? What I mean by that is I've traveled and worked abroad in Germany, Thailand, and now I'm in Portugal. And as a Canadian, it's hard not to notice how each country and culture approaches recycling and this whole circular economy. When I was in Berlin, very much a culture that values recycling, and has put this as a priority for their own particular country and culture, right? So we have to be researchers, understand how other cultures are doing this right. And I would say I could boil this down to a couple points. Think like a designer. Make it super, super easy. Changing behavior is not easy, right? As designers, this is what we're sort of faced with in our own product worlds that we design and try to influence certain users to accomplish that goal or whatever outcome that we want to drive. So how do you change behavior in a way that's not telling them what to do, but do it in a way that they see value, right? So for example, Germany, they have a great depositing system that incentivizes them to to recycle their plastics or their glass through financial incentives, right? That's a great way to do it, right? And also, like, use the behavioral psychology principles as designers, right? So how do we use, these are global principles such as like scarcity or social proof to really help influence how people can change behaviors to contribute to how we can improve the environment. A great example is hotels, right? I'm staying in a hotel right now because I'm working remotely, and it's always expectation of reusing your towels, right? So it's these little elements that hotels can play into how we can change behaviors of using towels less in our hotel experience. And there's companies that A/B test certain cards that they have within the hotel to really understand how they can incentivize others to use less towels, which again is helping the environment, right? So social proof, using social proof. There's this one company, a research topic that we're working on in a previous role, that by just changing the language of the card inside the room to say, well, 30% of other guests all recycle their towels, it gives this is using behavioral psychology principles to really change and influence others to come on board to that sort of in this case really reuse towels. So just to summarize, I'd say think like a designer, research and understand why other is successful in other cultures, and also understand how to change and influence behaviors in a way that's going to incentivize and motivate them to change from what would be considered, not circular economy principles or behaviors to one that's actually aligning to saving the environment.
Yeah. With regards to the towels, I've seen them usually offering a complimentary drink or some sort of, culinary equivalent to you being careful with your towels. But Shane, I gotta say, I think I heard a little Robert Cialdini influence over there when you were listing all of those principles
exactly.
and giving all of those examples. So Jakub, over to you. Both of you bear a large responsibility because the way that you lead your teams impacts the work that further impacts every end user. So your turn to tell us how you hold that great responsibility, that great power to do good.
Yeah, once again, while thinking about it, I would probably highlight two areas the most. The first one is education and advocacy, and like really using our own channels to somehow amplify the messages and to show examples how we are dealing with it. I could as well mention, of course, that the topic of technology integration, and we could talk about some probably how can AI enhance our energy efficiency. How can it help us in the supply chain? How can it help us in production chains and so on and so forth? However, probably the most useful ones, and those are the probably proper ideas on the corporate level, I would assume so. However, there are a couple of initiatives that we can really bring forward to the customers and our customers, and to think how we can, if in example, if the customer, taking IKEA as an example, if the customer bought an IKEA armchair, I don't know, 3 years ago, and he's now changing the style of his apartment. What should he do with it? Probably the easiest idea is to just put it on OLX and resell it, try to resell it. However, we are thinking about it, and we introduced this kind of service for our customers like internally, and it is called buyback and resell. And I can share with you that it is like, I think for 2 seasons now in Poland, especially highlighted during the Black Friday. Surprise, surprise. And I can share with you that it is like getting more and more popular because we have like the number of customers that are using this service has tripled over the year. So this is showing us a kind of a trend, as well as as well as there are some products. In example, taking IKEA example once again, that are in example being brought by the customers as with some after some claims, or after like, I just don't want to use it. It is possible to bring like already assembled product back to IKEA, and then like the customer is receiving the prepaid card to IKEA for it. But we have to do something with this product, and we are not destroying it. Absolutely no. I'm probably sure that it is like super known in Poland. This department, the recovery department, and this it is called in Polish the okazje na okrągło. So like the department in which you can find some offers. Like not fully, not the product we like with like the super new but still with a really good quality, and it is like super popular in Poland actually. And we were taking into consideration and comparing ourselves to on the global market. Poland is one of actually in big three of the countries with the most interest in this type of sales. We sold last year 1.8 million products using this department. So this could be as well like an idea of how this could be this actually chain of products, of not like making the waste bigger, but trying to reduce and trying to reduce the waste and reuse the products that can be. This could be an idea as well.
Sure. Thank you, Kuba. And we also have a comment from the comment section, naturally. Not a question, just a comment. It says, Japan is huge in terms of circular economy, used clothes, furniture, electronic stores, on every corner, recycling system. This is also a part of our cultural background. And I'm only raising this comment to sort of, confirm what has been said both by Shane and by Jakub with respect to the cultural differences and aspects, that it seems to be a matter of how you prepare the infrastructure and the sort of UX happy paths thinking as designers would for general civilians to go about their day. And seeing that we are nearing the end of this panel, I wanted to touch upon one last topic, because of course, out of the three of us, I am the least technical, if I could even be called technical. So this is what I think, and I hope that you will either tell me that I'm wrong and teach me why, or maybe I'm going to be lucky and this won't be the time that I'm wrong. So I'm looking at it this way. Right now, circular economy, either as an approach or as design-based thinking, is something that market leaders like yourself think about, consider, implement programs, make sure that the world goes round. I would like to raise something that both of you definitely know, which is accessibility. Accessibility as something that initially was, I'm looking for the right word to not diminish the importance, but much rather mark the lack of attention that it should have received initially, and that it had to take time and time and time between learning that accessibility is something that several users might need, over to a moment where we are right now, where accessibility is standardized into WCAG, and there are levels to the standard, and every website, when gone under any audit, simply either fails or passes in flying colors. So do we foresee a similar, perhaps not regulation, because it's not really regulation, it's an evaluation of whether a business is doing its part, even if it's not like OLX being a major catalyst and push in the circular economy topic?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, right? Like, if I look at accessibility, you guys separate it, right? I think accessibility, right, I think it's a human rights, it's an equality and inclusivity issue, right? And I think this is where I think if you look at cultures, it's universal, right? And I think to Jakub's point, I think it really boils down to how can we market and advocate for how important circular economy or saving the environment is, right? I think accessibility has done a really good job of framing this in a way that is kind of a little bit more higher level into how we want to operate as a civilization and as a culture, right? I think there's a lot of opportunity for others to really highlight this and frame it in a way that really impacts people on a very human level, right? Because I think environment is really, and hopefully we'll see this generational, right? And to Jakub's point too, I think it's about school programs and getting people really on board to this early in the educational programs within our schools, so that our future children and our generations ahead, this is not going to be an either or here it's going to, it's really going to be ingrained in their DNA as something important, right? So I think it's really about how we market it, how we frame it, and how we advocate this and educate this in our schools.
Okay, so I will say this because I want us to, argue a little. We've got 2.5 minutes left. What else are you going to do? So, Shane, you're saying generational change. IKEA says by 2030 it's self-sufficient. I don't think those two can live together or coexist in an argument. So, Jakub, would you also agree that we are able to wait for all of those education programs? And Shane, I'm not bashing what you said. I'm just hoping to, incite a little bit of creative discussion.
Well, I wouldn't say that we have to wait. We have to create those educational programs, and as I said, we have to act now, actually. But adding on top of the accessibility, I would say that I would add another point as well, which is the cost, because the customers and actually the people, we shouldn't have even this. We shouldn't even think about those choices. If I should be eco-friendly, and I have to pay more, or should I will just buy something that is super cheap, maybe not environmentally friendly, but it's cheap, and I can actually access it. So yes, what I'm trying to say, do not think that sustainability and circularity has to be connected, and this perception has to be connected with and associated with the high cost. This is something that is as well deeply rooted within our approach at IKEA.
Okay, thank you, Kuba. And thank you, Shane. And it is with moderate sadness, because I've had a great time, but we need to wrap up, that I need to tell you that we need to wrap up. So, Jakub, Shane, unless you have any concluding words or anything you'd like to leave the audience with.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, it was just great to be here, and it was a great discussion, and thank you for having me.
And one of many this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are. So, gentlemen and dear audience, thank you so much. And in the meantime, get ready for the next panel.